Woohoo! Welcome back. Tonight I'm going to be showing you how to calculate a mortgage payment. Yay! And dun dun dun. This is one of the hardest things you're going to have to try to input into your calculator, but hopefully I can help to demystify some of it. So the way that I approach these is that I go ahead and multiply this $600,000, that's the present value, times the numerator. So I do the tops. So you can see where I say the tops, 600,000 times, and then I calculate this. Notice I don't have an approximation there. I use the interest rate divided by M. 12, the number of times we're going to be compounding this, or the number of payments per year, which is in our case the same. 12, because it's monthly payments. And then I will divide by the bottom. And you can see that I have color coded because I didn't have quite enough space to fit it all in on one line. I've color coded the fact that there's one big division and then a great big set of parentheses. And then inside of that, though, there's another set of parentheses. They correspond to those parentheses. The blue parentheses really just go around the whole denominator like this. Okay, so that's where the blue parentheses go. Depending on your calculator, some of these steps are unnecessary. Depending on your calculator, some of these steps may be in a slightly different order. So if you do not have a Texas Instruments 36X Pro, that's fine. If you have a different kind of calculator, what you're going to have to do is follow along. And then if it doesn't quite work right, then try moving stuff around. There are a couple top places where I'll point out when we're going through that you might have to reverse the steps. If you cannot make your calculator get through this problem, you and your calculator are just not getting along, I do offer calculator counseling. You bring your calculator to my office hour or send me a picture through Pronto or email, and I'm happy to try to bridge that gap between you and your calculator and help you figure out how you and your calculator can communicate more clearly, set good boundaries for yourselves, and just get along, enjoy a really fruitful relationship. So let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead, as I said, and work on the tops. I've cleared my calculator. That's always useful. I've got 600,000 times 0.02 divided by 12. I'm taking advantage of order of operations and the way that multiplication and division work, that I can just multiply and divide straight across. If you want to put parentheses around there, that's fine. You don't need them. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and that gives me 1,000. Woohoo! That's very exciting. Now, without changing anything or writing anything down, I'm going to go right into the bottoms. Make sure you don't. Now, in this case, 1,000 is nice and round. It doesn't have an ugly, it's not an approximation of an ugly number. Not that any number is ugly, but some numbers are harder to work with than others. There are difficult numbers in the world. They're still numbers and they still deserve respect. But don't try to do anything. Just leave it there. The calculator will hold on to that number for you. I'm going to go ahead and do a big division. Now, this division is what's going to separate the tops from the bottoms in this. And then I'm going to start with a single parenthesis. This is the blue parenthesis. We're going to surround the entire denominator with parentheses. I'm going to do 1 minus. Now I need another set of parentheses. 1 plus 0.02 divided by 12. Notice I'm not using an approximation. I'm using the actual value. Now here's where things get a little squirrely. Up until now, most calculators should follow exactly these steps, unless you happen to have a calculator that was made maybe in the 70s or the 80s, the 1970s or the 1980s. There were a couple of other orders of operation for putting things into calculators back then. So if you have a really old calculator, you probably want to come in for my calculator counseling session, and we can get you and your calculator talking to each other. So at this point, though, even modern calculators have a couple different ways to do it. You need to get an exponent, right? There's that negative 360 in the exponent. On my calculator, I've got a key right here that it's hard to see in the video, I know, but it's an X raised to a little box. And if I click on it, you'll see that my calculator actually gives me a little exponent. It's one of the benefits of these new fancy calculators is they actually can, they've got ways of moving up and down. Now, this lovely calculator, which I adore, is not quite as fancy. So this will look a little different. The exponent key on this looks like a little rooftop. You see that right there? That's the exponent key. So different calculators will have different exponent keys. And then the next thing is I have to find the change in sign. The change in sign for me on this calculator is right there. Can you guys see that right at the bottom? That minus in parentheses. This is a subtraction. Calculators do not think that these two keys are the same. Change in sign and subtraction, completely different for a calculator, believe it or not. I know humans, we understand better. On some calculators, and you'll see I wrote it here, and again, it may be a little hard to read in the video, but some calculators have a key that has a plus and a slash and a minus. That's telling you I'm switching. Now, in this particular calculator, I do the opposite sign, so I'm going to click on the opposite sign, and then the 360. On some calculators, you actually type in the 360 and then change the sign. This is something you just have to wiggle around with. You try it one way. If it doesn't work, if it goes blah, try a couple other things and then come in for my counseling session. I'm going to close. Now on mine, and this can get you in trouble, you see how I'm flashing up there? I'm actually still up in the exponent. And I think it forgives you for a lot of things, but I'm not going to take any chances in this video. So I'm going to go ahead on my calculator. I press the right arrow and that pulls me. See how I'm back down to the base level. So I want to get out of the exponent. I'm going to close the parenthesis and I'm going to hit enter. And fingers crossed, we end up with, yay, there's your mortgage payment. So if you're paying 2%, monthly, not 2% per month, but an annual interest rate of 2%, you're making monthly payments over 30 years, and your mortgage, the amount that you're actually taking the loan out for, $600,000, your monthly payment will be $22.17, and then 72 cents would probably be the way the bank would do it, and your last payment would be a little bit different because you will have technically overpaid just ever so slightly every month. So that's it. Woohoo. Hopefully that helps it make sense. And if not, keep asking questions. Keep being awesome because you are. And math on. Woohoo.